Israeli airstrikes have killed at least 6 people and wounded several others in Lebanon's capital, Beirut. Loud explosions were heard overnight in the southern suburb of Dahiyeh. That's where Hezbollah chief Hassan Nasrallah was killed last week. Large fires could be seen in the area throughout the night. Well, this is the scene in Beirut right now, where it's just after 9 a.m. in the morning. Thick smoke can still be seen billowing across the city from those overnight Israeli airstrikes. Well, the 6 people who were killed died in an attack on a building in the area of Bashura. It's just 1 kilometre from Lebanon's parliament and the Prime Minister's office. Most Israeli strikes until now have been targeting the southern suburb of Dahiyeh. Well, those attacks followed a day of intense fighting. Hezbollah fired more than 200 rockets into northern Israel, and at least 8 Israeli soldiers were killed during fighting in southern Lebanon. Al Jazeera's Zaina Hodder reports on Beirut on how Israeli troops are facing pushback from Hezbollah.
Israel says its soldiers are operating in southern Lebanon. The military has released video showing its troops in border villages. It's also released photos of tanks in a ground operation it says aims to destroy Hezbollah's sites. Israel says soldiers engaged in hand-to-hand combat with the armed group, but Hezbollah says its fighters forced them to retreat from more than one axis along the 120-kilometer border. Israel media have reported deaths and injuries among the troops, who, according to Lebanon's army, advanced up to 400 meters before pulling back. Hezbollah is projecting confidence, and amid the rubble of a destroyed building in the southern suburbs of Beirut, a message of defiance was reiterated.
What happened today is only the tip of the iceberg. We're waiting for the Israeli enemy to reveal the total number of those killed among them. The number is high, but they're hiding this. Our resistant fighters are fully prepared to confront the enemy. Our command and control are fine. So are our resources. We assured the enemy this is the first round.
Hezbollah has been hit hard in recent weeks. Israel's strikes have been relentless, and the destruction where the group has a presence is significant. It has also lost much of its military leadership in assassinations, including Secretary General Hassan Nasrallah. But the group has made it clear it believes it can shift the balance of power.
بلش العدو الإسرائيلي يقوم بعمليات استطلاع بالقوة بالنيران.
Israeli troops were probing Hezbollah's defenses, trying to locate the group's positions and their willingness to fight. Hezbollah's response was strong, and they were likely surprised by that. It seems they want to take control of a few kilometers along the border to use it as a negotiating card to impose their conditions.
The Israeli military has said it has no plans for a wider occupation, and its operation in Lebanon is about destroying what it says are tunnels and infrastructure on the border. But Hezbollah is showing its command and control structure is intact. It continues to fire rockets and missiles across the border, reaching the suburbs of Tel Aviv. Israel dominates the skies over Lebanon and operates with near impunity, capitalizing on its superior air power. But Hezbollah is still able to use its strategic weapons, and it has proven in previous confrontations that it has the advantage on the ground. This could only mean more violence, as mediation efforts are at a standstill. Zaina Hodder, Al Jazeera, Beirut.
Well, Al Jazeera's Imran Khan joins us live now from Hasbaiyya in southern Lebanon. Imran, so there have been continued Israeli attacks in the south where you are. Tell us what's been happening.
Well, overnight into this morning and just in the last few seconds, we are hearing that dull thud of artillery in the background there. I'm in Nabatieh Governorate in Hasbaiyya. The town of Nabatieh is also one town that has been hit quite hard in recent days. That is still continuing, the airstrikes are still coming up, but Hezbollah is still firing rockets into Israeli territory. Some 200 attacks is what we're hearing in the last 24 hours or so. Now, the Lebanese Ministry of Health has said the death toll on Wednesday was 46 killed and 85 people wounded. But Israel's aerial bombardment campaign is getting wider. We are seeing raids in the past 24 hours in places in southern Lebanon, Nabatea, in eastern Lebanon, in the Bekaa and Baalbek Hermel region, and in Mount Lebanon. Mount Lebanon's actually in central Lebanon. That's far away from either the southern suburbs of Beirut or the south of Lebanon, where the fighting has been concentrated. It's interesting, though, to note that there haven't been any more ground incursions after the Israelis lost 8 soldiers and a number of others wounded. They haven't come back in. But that aerial bombardment campaign, that does seem to be at least at the same level it was just a few days ago, if not more.
And Imran, several Israeli airstrikes overnight in the capital, Beirut. Just bring us up to date on those.
Well, the region is very, very important. This wasn't an airstrike in the southern suburbs of Beirut. It was in Bashura, which is only a kilometre away from the Prime Minister's office. It's a middle-class neighbourhood. That was hit very, very hard. We're hearing that at least 6 people were killed in that attack. That's more shelling coming in, or Hezbollah rockets going out. So it's an interesting thing that this is now the second attack outside of the southern suburbs. Kola was attacked before. That got people in Beirut very worried because it was an attack in central Beirut, and now this one as well. This is an attack that's going to worry people because there are no safe places now. This is what people keep telling me. People keep saying, oh, we're going to go to Beirut. We'll be safe in Beirut if we don't go to the southern suburbs. Well, that is not the case anymore. Israel is keeping up this attacks on Beirut. They're calling it going after Hezbollah, but you know, they're close now to the Prime Minister's office. And that's a very worrying thought for Lebanon, because it's no longer about isolating this to a Hezbollah-Israel war. People are now very, very worried that if they keep hitting and get closer and closer to Lebanese government or civilian or military infrastructure, that'll drag Lebanon into this fray.
All right, Imran Khan, live for us there in Hasbaiyya in southern Lebanon. Imran, thank you. Well, Israel is coming to terms with its first big losses in its so far limited ground offensive in southern Lebanon. Al Jazeera's Stefanie Dekker is in Jordan's capital because the Israeli government's banned Al Jazeera from reporting inside Israel. Steffi, so how are the deaths of these 8 Israeli soldiers in southern Lebanon playing out in Israel?
Yes, it's a public holiday. It's the Jewish New Year for the next 3 days. But the Israeli media, the Hebrew media, playing it very straight, saying that this was a very difficult operation, that they got ambushed in a village, that they wanted to dismantle Hezbollah infrastructure, that it was a brave operation in coordination with the Israeli Air Force, that their commanders came to their rescue, and also that they killed dozens of Hezbollah fighters. So it's being played very straight. It is too early for public opinion to swing against this ground offensive operation, invasion, whatever it's going to be. But certainly the media also, and it has always acknowledged that this was going to be a very complex fight, very different from Gaza, even in the reports today in the Hebrew media, saying that the Hezbollah fighters don't operate the same way Hamas does. They don't initially instantly rush to attack forces. They take their time. They are very tactical. So this is pretty much the picture that it's going to be, that is playing out. In terms of public opinion, what I can tell you is that, of course, the longer this goes on for, and the more Israeli soldiers are going to come home in body bags, you will at some point see a shift. You will at some point see the public asking, what about our captives in Gaza? But it's too soon for that, Darren. And also, just briefly, the media also questioning whether this is going to be ground incursions, limited ground incursions in and out, or whether it's going to be a ground invasion. And they're also questioning that, and they're saying that the next days and weeks will make that clearer.
All right, Al Jazeera's Stefanie Dekker live for us there in Jordan's capital, Amman. Steffi, thank you.
Make sure to subscribe to our channel to get the latest news from Al Jazeera.